Hello Aries, and welcome to Hoodie Priestess Tarot. I'm Jodine, your host, and we're going to do a tarot reading for you today, and we're going to draw an oracle card for you before we wrap it up. So we're going to do the Celtic Cross spread using the Tarot of the Great Outdoors, and I will start that right now. I hope you're having a good week. It's Wednesday. It's hump day as I'm recording this. And we're headed for a weekend. I don't know where you are, but I'm in southern Minnesota, southeastern Minnesota. And the weather is gorgeous here. So what do we have for Aries? What's Aries up to? Celtic Cross spread. For Aries, I have a card jump right out at me. What is it? It's the Hermit. With the stunning Aurora Borealis in the back. Does that mean anything? Have you been keeping to yourself lately, Aries? Let's just set it off to the side here. I'll set it right there where I can see it, and we'll leave it set out. All right, one more shuffle, and now let's draw the Celtic card cross for Aries. So you are the Ten of Blades. And what crosses or challenges you is the Moon. Beautiful Moon card. Your recent past, Temperance, a little Sagittarius energy there. Oh, by the way, a little Pisces energy here. The future, the Queen of Vessels. What you know is the Knight of Sticks. That's your own signature Knight of Wands correlation, fire element. And the, what you don't know is the Tower. How you see yourself. The Eight of Vessels. How others see you, Aries, is the Nine of Blades. The hopes and the fears. The Six of Stones. This has been a popular card here in the middle of the week. And a possible outcome is the Six of Sticks. We've got 66 going here now. And what's on the bottom of the deck is the Queen of Stones. All right, Aries. Those are your cards, and now we can talk about them. Aries, I see you're in a transition period, so you are obviously have wrapped up something that was monumental in your life, and now you're in the lull point between what you were doing and what you're going to do next. And I think for some of you, it's not really clear yet what's coming next. So this is a transitional point, and you know, transitional points always come with a little, I don't know, we might interpret it as discomfort, you know, that period of not having a structure, you know, or not having a routine that you follow every day. But it'll come, you know, because life never stays quiet for very long. So my own advice is to enjoy the quiet while you have it, because soon enough you'll be busy again. Isn't that how it goes? So we start out with you as the Ten of Blades, which would correlate to the Ten of Swords in the decks that we usually use, but the Ten of Blades is interpreted differently in this deck, the Tarot of the Great Outdoors. So if we would use the traditional interpretation of the Ten of Swords, the bloody Ten of Swords, it would be a really hard time. It would be like stabbed in the back and left for dead, and betrayal, and maybe this does apply to some Aries. Maybe you've come out of a place where you found out that people who you thought were your friends weren't your friends, and that people turned against you when you never expected them to. Situations, something like that. But now in this deck, there's another interpretation that you've come to the end of a long and very challenging thing, whatever you were doing, project. In this case, it's like a ski. I don't know if it's exactly a race, or if it's more like a 10K walk or a 5K walk would be. It's not exactly a race, but I don't want to get bogged down in details here. But they're coming to the end of it, and so they're trying to assess, would they do it again? Did they have fun? Is it an experience that they'd want to repeat? Was it a job well done? Or is it just a job done? Thank goodness. Let's move on. So there's a little trepidation and a little exhaustion that comes with this card, however it's interpreted. And what's crossing you is the moon. And the moon might be a card of mystery, how we usually interpret it, in not knowing what comes next. The moon is a mysterious card. And not knowing what's coming next in our life can cause us to have a little fear or trepidation. But now remember that things always look scarier at night in the moonlight than they do in the light of day. So one of the aspects of the moon card is that sometimes it's unfounded fear. Sometimes the fears seem like they're worse than they actually end up being. So that's something to remember. Now, this deck interprets the moon card as an invitation to reset your rhythms. Are you a person who was a third shifter? Are you a person who was a first shifter or a second shifter before you finished up whatever it was that you finished up? This is a time the moon invites you to set your rhythms back according to nature. So it's almost as if it knows that you're in a little lull. And in that lull, you have the opportunity to explore the rhythms of nature and to let yourself flow into them. So in the past, you were a very patient person, I can see, and you tried not to go to one extreme or another, and you were walking a path and trying to realize that two opposite things can be valid and true at the same time. But inherently, you are a person of action. Okay. And when I look at this person of action, this would correlate to the Knight of Wands, and Wands is your element. So this is your Knight in the tarot deck. He is up, I think he's cutting on a big tree. And then when I think about that, I'm thinking that you were taking action. You were doing a big deal. You were like really altering something. Whatever you were doing before, you really altered the landscape or the environment or whatever you were involved in. You had quite an impact on it. Okay? And so maybe what you don't realize is the extent to which this altered the foundation of where you were before. You had a really big impact, Aries, where you were before. And I'm sure that's something a little bit different for each of you, but you really altered the terrain there. And there's something significant here about a person who you could confide in. Or there's going to be a person you can confide in. The Queen of Vessels is a person who can be a confidant. She's a person who can listen to your emotions. You can cry on her shoulder. So I don't know if there's somebody in your life already who is like that for you. If not, it looks as though somebody's going to come into your life in the future. Because obviously you're still processing about this past experience that you've finished up now. And I do want to relate back to this beautiful Hermit card. I think it is significant because I think here in the lull between one thing and another, you have the time to be on your own. And usually we see, you know, traditionally the Hermit has got the lamp, the lantern with him, and he's going in and he's finding his own light. But look at the light, how the light is expressed in this card. Isn't it beautiful? And I would think in your time of solitude now, you have a chance not only to reset your rhythm, not only is there an invitation to reset your rhythm to the earth rhythm, but there is a chance to revisit the beautiful light inside yourself, the beautiful light that is your spirit. And this is gorgeous. It's wonderful. So you see yourself as somebody who's you're walking away. Okay? And so we've got the Eight of Vessels, and so you see yourself as leaving something behind that it wasn't nothing. It was a substantial thing, but it wasn't the thing for you. Kind of unexpectedly, it wasn't the thing for you, and so now you're having to go inside yourself and sort of soul search there and find out what is going to be the thing for you. That's what the Eight of Vessels or Eight of Cups is all about. How do other people see you? Other people see you as the Knight of Blades, Aries. Oh, now, traditionally, this would be the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Swords is the nightmare card, right? It's like whatever impact you had on people, you kept them up at night. You stressed them out. I don't know what you did, and I'm sure it's not the same story all the way around. Now, this one has a little bit different interpretation, which I do want to share with you, because the other one is kind of harsh, and I want there to be a range of ways to interpret this, because I know there are a range of people. Just let me track it down here. Come, 7, 8, 9. Here we go. You're almost there. Okay? Just a little ways to go, and once you get there, it's going to be warm and cozy, and hot cocoa will be waiting for you. Here, I'll hold this up so you can see it. All of your careful planning, patience, training, and diligence is about to pay off. You got to this point through hard work and thoughtful leadership, by putting your head down and placing one foot in front of the other, through bluebird days and blizzards. Be prepared to share your methods and expertise and to help others become strong leaders. Don't show off, but show up and prep yourself for a lovely time ahead. So there's a range of ways people are thinking of you, okay? Maybe you gave some people nightmares, but other people see you as a leader. And they see your potential for the future to go on and do more things. So you've probably had a mixed impact on people. Okay, then after that, you've got two cards that both have kind of a similar message. Now, the one is the possible, the one is the hopes and the fears, and that is the Six of Stones. And the other one is a possible outcome, and that is the Six of Sticks. So both of them, by this deck's interpretation, talk about learning lessons from the past. Learning from things you've done from the past. So this big venture, whatever it was, that had mixed results, right? Was it a job well done, or thank God it's just a job done? I don't know. But learn, this card is saying, you know, the hopes and the fears, you know, so learn from the mistakes of the past. And maybe you have fear going into the next thing, fearing that something similar might happen. Well, it might. But you know what? You have the experience from the past to draw on. This one too, the possible outcome, also talks about learning from the mistakes of the past. And it talks about coming prepared for unexpected things. No doubt this is something that you did learn from the past. And I think it might have something to do with human relationships, with thinking you could trust people who you ended up not being able to trust. So being prepared for things that are unexpected. And maybe, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it has to do with like stepping lightly around people. Not being too trusting of people. I'm not saying being paranoid, and that's the way it sounds. The word I'm looking for is what? You know, just don't be assuming about people. We've all been there. It looks to me like this is on the bottom of your deck. This is the Queen of Stones, who would be a correlation to the Queen of Pentacles in other more traditional decks. Now, the Queen of Pentacles is often seen as a very nurturing and caring person. She often gets noted for self-care. She's a message to practice self-care, which I think is good advice at any time. She's a person who knows her own value. She knows her own worth. And I think that's good message to all of us, especially us women. But now, this is an interesting card if you look at it. And she looks to me like she's a rock climbing guide or instructor. And if you can see the people who she's going to, I don't know if you can clearly see the expression on their faces, but you can tell that they want to partake of this extreme sport, but they haven't done it before and they're inexperienced. So literally, they really have to trust her. Their lives, their safety is going to be in her hands. So think what kind of person she is to be in this position. She's very skilled. She's very accustomed and familiar with what she's doing. Over familiar, because not only is she familiar for herself, but she can take on responsibility for others. She's a very trustworthy person. And she has a certain personality that puts others at ease. She provides guidance. She provides safe passage. And I think that you are involved in some sort of occupation that is like that. And maybe that's what you've been learning to do, something like that. I don't know if it's literally rock climbing, but something where you're really responsible. And I can see that you are going to go on and succeed at that. Now, I want to go back to this Queen of Pentacles, who I said is either a person you can trust now, or there's going to be somebody in the future who you can trust. I think this is significant. And I want to talk about it a little more before we close out. Because I think one of the things we learned from the past experience was that we couldn't trust people who we thought we could trust, or who we thought we ought to be able to trust. They turned out not to be trustworthy people. And that can leave us in a state of fear. That can leave us in a state of distrust of everybody. And when we go into a new situation, we might be afraid to create relationships. So when you go into a new situation in the future and start meeting people, again, you will have to be vulnerable. And you may not want to. You may want to avoid people altogether so as to avoid being vulnerable. But you can't build relationships like that. So you're going to go in knowing that you have to be vulnerable again and being a little uncomfortable with it. But at the same time, now if we look at these two cards, it talks about the experience and the lessons that we've gained in the past. And those go into our toolbox, our skills toolbox, yeah? Those become our wisdom bases. So yes, you are going to have to be vulnerable again. You may have the opportunity to be somebody's confidant. So if you could not trust people in the past, that's a lesson that you learned, isn't it? How will you treat people in the future? You will go into your future with a knowledge base to draw from. And that's a good thing. I think this is a lovely reading. It shows progress, it shows transition, and it shows that you are well-geared. Maybe more well-geared than you know for where you're headed. Look at all her gear. Right? This is a person who is prepared for unexpected things. All right, my dear, let's draw the Akashic Oracle card for you and see what it has to say. I'm trying not to let these readings go too long. And sometimes I do. We're at 18, almost 19 minutes. I'm trying to keep them below 20. Okay, so we need a good oracle card for Aries, who is in transition. Let's see what we get. Here we go. Protect. Excuse me. Is somebody pregnant? There has been a lot of pregnancy energy this whole week in the readings. It's just, you know, just the way, you know, the circular shapes in this picture and the belly location. This makes me wonder if somebody's pregnant. You are being asked to protect yourself and your energy. It's okay to want to give to others, which you do effortlessly. That's true about Aries. It's important, though, that you set healthy boundaries with your energy before doing so. Now is the time to get some protection in place. Ooh, really good card. Really good card, yeah. Getting boundaries in place ahead of time. How do you deal with people? In a way, that's part of that planning for unexpected things, just by having some guidelines and some rules to follow. It's a great card. These cards are smiling on you, Aries. Okay, so you have a wonderful weekend, and until we meet again, take care. I love you, and bye-bye.